You know, I wasn't entirely sure I was even gonna make this video. Or anything related to WrestleMania. Well, it's outside of that one Oscar video I made just a couple of weeks ago. Because I've actually been debating with myself a lot on whether or not I'm even gonna bother watching WrestleMania. But the more I think about it, the more I think, what the hell? I've already thrown my sleep schedule out of whack. I watched Takeover last night, by the way. It's brilliant, go watch it. And I'm probably gonna watch the Hall of Fame tonight. It's in about 4 hours, I think. It starts at 1 o'clock, and it's currently 9:15. So hey, fuck it, might as well watch it. It unfortunately means that this little thing, which is a pros and cons, I actually made a pros and cons list of watching WrestleMania 35, kind of throws it out of the way. But then again, the pro side actually had a lot of points to it. A lot of them are similar, but it had a lot to it. I'll actually talk a little bit about the pros and cons list as I go along. But yeah, if you couldn't tell by the title of this video, or if you couldn't tell by just how close I'm releasing this to WrestleMania, I'm once again doing a predictions video. So this one's going to be a little bit more of a... It's not going to be a video you're going to enjoy all that much. Because I'm probably going to be spending most of the video just yelling my head off about poor decisions WWE has made, because the booking to this show has been so poor that I was really considering, as I mentioned, I was really considering not watching the show. But it does look like, I think I've decided to actually watch the show. Kind of. Because there is one thing, but I will get to that at the end of the video. I don't know how long it's going to be, but there is something I'm going to be doing. I'm probably not making any sense, but the point is, here we are, it's WrestleMania season, and it's time that we do a few discussions. And yes, once again, couldn't find a good camp in time for WrestleMania. I tried, but money was a problem. Any of the cameras flying around was not working, so I'm using the old web camera again, though you might see a little bit more cleaner video that isn't just me talking in one take and not editing anything, because I'm probably going to be using a new editing software that I have to try and make it a little bit more clear. But that's not important. What's important right now is talking WrestleMania. I have a Wikipedia page here over the match that has the match card. It's on a different computer over here. And we'll, as always, we'll start with the most important thing on the show, the pre-show. Yeah. And we will start things off with actually something I have to fix a little on. Hold on for a second. There we go. Okay. So we'll start things off with the pointless pre-show battle royals. The women's one first, shall we? The battle royal, which, if you don't remember, was something they started last year with the, as for the women, they started at 30 for the men. But anyway, this year they basically announced it like, I don't know, just before the final week before WrestleMania. They're gonna do the second annual women's battle royal, and from what I can tell, so far only 13 members have been announced. There's probably gonna be more, and let's go over them in order. From Raw, we're gonna have Dana Brooke, Mickie James, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. So basically, Dana Brooke, Mickie James, and the Riott Squad. And from the SmackDown side, we have Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, remember the woman who won last year, by the way, Lana, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Selena Vega, and even though, and a woman who doesn't actually have a brand yet, and judging by how WWE's booking thinks she might not even have one after WrestleMania, Nikki Cross. So, yeah, a lot of waste there. Dana Brooke is a waste. Mickie James is nowhere near the legend she once was. The Riot Squad, I mean, if you watched any of the latest episodes of Raw, you know exactly where their place on the card is. Carmella has been reduced to a comedy character for the most part in recent times. Naomi, I mean, she won the Battle Royal last year. What has she done in the previous year? Lana is, I mean, she was used as a plot point at the Royal Rumble, so guess how she fares in Battle Royal style matches. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, I'll get back to those in a few moments. Zelina Vega, I mean, she barely, I haven't seen her wrestle all that often. Like, she does wrestle, but for the most part I only see her as the manager for Andrade Cien Almas. Oh, sorry, just Andrade, because they cut Cien Almas from his name. Brand. And then there's Nikki Cross, who doesn't even have a brand yet, and who barely shows up on TV, and I'm not entirely sure she's won a match yet. And considering that she was once part of Sanity, who, I mean, have you seen how they've been booked recently, or not been booked? Last week they were, I think that was the first time they've actually had a match on SmackDown in quite some time, and they lost a 3-on-1 handicap to The Miz. And anyone wonders why people might not like people being called up from NXT. And I know I've left out a certain person from that list. Like, I've mentioned her, but I haven't said much about her winning chances. And that's Asuka. I might as well get this one out of the way. You saw my video from a couple of weeks ago. You know how I felt when that SmackDown episode happened. If you don't remember, Brett, if you would.
This is bullshit!
There you go. Yeah, the Asuka story. If you will permit me to go on a small rant, because, you know, Brett already explained how I feel about the Asuka situation, but this has been a continuous problem ever since WrestleMania last year. I said, and I have video footage to prove it. Go watch my WrestleMania 34 for Fonts video, and you will see that I said point blank, her losing that streak, losing that match at Mania to Charlotte was a mistake. It's 2019, right before WrestleMania 35, and my opinion has not changed. Her loss was a mistake. And it was pretty much confirmed post-WrestleMania. Because what happened to Charlotte after her monumental victory over Asuka, she lost the title to Carmella. Just a few, like probably the week after. Then she lost again, and then she was sort of floundering a little bit. I think she may have gotten injured, but I'm not entirely sure. And Carmella was champion. Then Asuka challenged her for the title, and had two of the worst matches of the year. Yeah, the Money in the Bank match with Carmella was absolute garbage. The Extreme Rules match was even worse. It was crap. It was worse. It's just how much it ruined Asuka. Not just because she lost, but because how she lost. She was made to look like an absolute idiot by how much she focused on James Ellsworth instead of focusing on the woman who she needed to beat to become champion. You have no idea how infuriating and pretty much depressing it was to see Asuka fall from grace so far. From being the winner of the first ever female Royal Rumble, from being undefeated for so long, from being one of the longest title reigns in modern history, to this. And what happened after she lost? She was put into a meaningless tag team with Naomi. And they barely had anything to do. Lost to the IIconics in a throwaway match at Super Showdown. And then they just floundered for a bit. Sorry. And then came... Oh, actually, not yet. Then we got Survivor Series, where Asuka admittedly got a decent thing to do, because she was the final woman for SmackDown. She was able to beat Sasha Banks, and then she was used as fodder for Nia Jax. That's great. But then came the silver lining. A chance for WWE to make up for the mistakes, for making up for one of the worst years I've ever seen for a wrestler who's been great in the past. She was added into the TLC SmackDown Women's Championship match. And not only was she added, she won. Asuka had finally become SmackDown Women's Champion. And more importantly, she had not only won the title, but she ended 2018 as SmackDown Women's Champion. You have no idea how happy I was that she finally was taken somewhat seriously. I mean, yes, it was sort of used as a carryover to build the Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte feud, but at least she was champion. Then came the Royal Rumble, and WWE made a huge step towards redeeming what they'd done with Asuka. She had a rematch with Becky Lynch, and she beat her clean. She beat the most over woman on the roster clean as a sheet. And you have no idea how incredibly happy I was to see that she was finally taken seriously. She beat one of the top contenders on the show. This would have been her time to be taken seriously as top champion, building towards WrestleMania for a huge showdown. Possibly in a rematch with Charlotte. Maybe we could just drop Charlotte from the Ronda and Becky storyline, just have them fight, huh? And what happened to Asuka after her big win at the Royal Rumble? She was absent for a whole month. She didn't show up once at SmackDown. They showed one video montage, I think, but she was left off three SmackDowns in a row. I'm not entirely sure which one. And she was left out the Elimination Chamber entirely as well. Then she comes back after Elimination Chamber. She has a match with Mandy Rose, and she loses. Not clean, mind you, but she lost. Okay, red flag. But hey, I guess we're building towards Mandy versus Asuka then. The build-up is pretty flat, and we get to Fastlane, and we are indeed getting that match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And Asuka wins because Mandy slips on the apron. Well, at least she won, but fuck, that was not a good look for her. Then she's sort of just floundering and not really doing much. Then we finally get an announcement for, we're going to have a fatal 4-way. It's going to be Carmella versus Naomi versus Sonya versus Mandy in a fatal 4-way to determine the #1 contender for Asuka's SmackDown Women's Championship. However, you all know what happened next. That match was cancelled, and instead we got a SmackDown Women's Championship match between Asuka and Charlotte. And I don't feel I need to repeat myself of what happened there. So yeah, 2 weeks before WrestleMania, she went from having a SmackDown Women's Championship match to the pre-show. A pointless pre-show battle royal that means nothing. So, having looked at what Asuka's done since WrestleMania 34, I should be surprised at what they've done. Or rather, I shouldn't. And I'm not. I'm talking kind of weird. It's always like that. I don't script myself for these. I just talk about what I think. But the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that Asuka was screwed out of WrestleMania. It's not really it shouldn't really be a surprise. It's horrible, it's annoying, and it drives me nuts. And quite honestly, when I watched the mixed tag match on SmackDown recently and saw where Asuka was, and just saw her in that pointless battle royal, and she stood tall at the end of that match, so obviously she's gonna lose. It broke my heart. It honestly broke my heart to see my favorite female wrestler on the card, on the entire damn show, be treated like this. Especially after she was treated so well in NXT. She had a decent start on the main roster, you know, being the last woman standing at the first Survivor Series she was part of, winning the Women's Royal Rumble, having a big match at WrestleMania. Then 2018 happened and she was wasted. Then her title reign had a good start. Her title reign was essentially the same as her first run as her immediate run. Good start, and then it just flattened and ended unceremoniously. And that also ended with a loss to Charlotte. Yeah. Couldn't tell. Asuka's inclusion in this match really annoys me. Well, she's gonna be there, but she's not gonna win. I'm telling you that right now. If you pick Asuka if you make your predictions and you pick Asuka to win the Battle Royal, you're a fool. You're an absolute fool. Because have you looked at how she's been booked recently? There's no way they're actually giving her a win. She's not gonna win. And even if she does, what's that gonna help? What's she gonna gain from that? Look at Naomi. She's in the Battle Royal again this week. This time. And she won last year. And what did she do? What did she do? Nothing. She had one meaningless feud with Mandy that just kind of petered out. That's it. I don't think she ever got a title shot that entire time. Only title shot she got was, you know, the inaugural women's tag title, and she was part of the first team out of there. Yeah, no. I don't think Asuka's going to win that match, and quite frankly, I don't want her to win that match because that's probably going to curse her. So really, I think she would do better just losing that match. And who's going to win? Well, some people have said Lacey Evans is going to win because, well, she's just been part of the show and just been a constant annoyance throughout the entire year, to the point where it was comical for a little while, and then it just became plain damn time wasting. And that makes some sense. But I've decided that maybe they're going to do what they did at WrestleMania 31. Use it as a chance to break up a tag team that's been on the rocks, like Miz and Damien Sandow, or Mizdow as he was called back then. And they used that Battle Royal to basically end that team. And I feel like maybe that's what they're going to do here. Because Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville have been on the rocks for a while. So my prediction for that match is Mandy Rose is going to win that match. No, what am I talking about? No, I said the wrong woman. I meant Sonya Deville. Not Mandy Rose. Sonya Deville is going to win that one. Just making it clear there. In fact, I'm probably going to put my predictions without any explanation. If you want the explanation for why I'm picking these people, you have to watch the video. Or I made a comment explaining my picks in the comment section of Cultaholics predictions for WrestleMania 35, which is usually where I make my predictions, except for WrestleMania where I do a video here. Again, random tangent. I'll get that now. Point being, I'm picking Sonya Deville purely because they could use it as a way to break up Mandy and Sonya, and then Sonya's not going to do anything with that victory. Pure and simple. They might have a feud with Mandy, and then she's just going to be another woman on the roster who does nothing. Yep, that's my prediction. Because this Battle Royal means nothing. Speaking of Battle Royals that mean nothing, it's time we move on to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Quite a few more people announced for this Battle Royal, so I'll list them in order, except I'm only going to be talking about the members from Raw, SmackDown, others, and celebrity entrances. Let's get going, shall we? From Raw, we have Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, Tyler Breeze, Jinder Mahal, No Way Jose, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, Kalisto, Grand Metalik, Lindsay Dorado, Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, Heath Slater, Rhino, Victor, and Connor. And for SmackDown, we have Andrade, not Cien Almas. I'm not going to do the same joke this time. It's Ali, formerly Mustafa Ali, but apparently they changed his name. Shelton Benjamin, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and then we have the people who don't have a brand yet. Otis, Tucker, and EC3. And that would be the end of it. However, I've neglected to mention 3 people who has had a bit of a story with this one. That being Braun Strowman, and 2 celebrity entrances in this Battle Royal. Those being Michael Shea, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, and Colin Jost, I think. I believe those 2 are from Saturday Night Live. I don't really know, because I haven't really been paying attention. Because this whole storyline is pointless. And speaking of people who've been mistreated recently, let's talk about Braun Strowman, shall we? Yeah, I haven't really been following Braun Strowman's career as closely as I have Asuka, because, I like Braun Strowman, but he's not Asuka. Asuka is my favorite female wrestler pretty much of all time. Braun is not even in my top 50, I think. But I do like Braun Strowman. But from what I've seen since WrestleMania 34, where he won the tag team titles with the young kid Nicholas, they vacated the titles the next night. Then he had some pointless feuds with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, particularly Kevin Owens, throughout pretty much all the way through the summer. And I think he was the babyface at the time. I'm pretty sure of it. But then, as soon as Roman Reigns became Universal Champion, he used his Money in the Bank contract, which he won. I forgot to mention that one. he challenged Roman Reigns and turned heel and joined up with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler, I think. They joined forces. Had a awful Hell in a Cell match, or at least I think it was awful, because it had one of the worst endings in history, where right, stop. I saw something on the screen that just looked, but it was it's my metal zipper. That's probably it. Anyway, the point is that it ended in a no contest. A Hell in a Cell match ended in a no contest. Moving on, then Braun was supposed to be part of a triple threat match with Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns for his Universal Championship, but then the leukemia announcement happened. Roman had to vacate it, so instead it was a one-on-one with Brock for the Universal Championship. And then the feud with Baron Corbin started to rear its ugly head. Baron cost Braun the match. Braun had his mediocre feud with Baron Corbin. Sorry. Sorry again. Then he was given another shot at the Universal Championship, except he wasn't, because he was written out of that storyline and replaced with Finn Balor. And it seemed like, oh, they're just doing this because they don't want Braun to lose again. But what's the point? He then lost to Baron Corbin. Corbin in a match that I think it was Elimination Chamber, but I'm not entirely sure. No, I'm pretty sure it was Elimination Chamber because Corbin faced the Shield at Fastlane. And then I don't remember what he did at Fastlane. I don't remember if he did anything at Fastlane. And then this whole feud with the SNL, with the Saturday Night Live people happened. And now they're all in the pointless pre-show battle royal. So what was the point of making Braun look strong? And usually with this battle royal is that they don't really pick a winner who's had a story going into it. I mean, again, I mentioned the 31 match. They had a bit of a story going between Miz and Damien Sandow. Who won that match? Big Show. Yeah. What can I say other than, see what I mean? This battle royal's pointless. All the winners have benefited nothing from it. Cesaro pretty much did nothing, and only recently found some success. Have only like in the past 2 years found success in his tag team with Sheamus. Big Show pretty much done nothing, and he didn't even need that win. He already had a career behind him. Baron Corbin, I mean, that was his debut, so you couldn't really go anywhere but up after that. And yeah, Mojo Rawley just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. Who was next? Oh, yeah, it was last year. Hold on 2 seconds, I'm trying to think here. No, I haven't missed it. Matt Hardy. Yeah. And Matt Hardy's in this Battle Royal as well. He had a pointless tag team with Bray Wyatt. And again, he didn't really need it. He already had a career behind him. So there you go. This Battle Royal doesn't mean anything. Which is why some people have pointed out that maybe Apollo Crews is going to win this one because it means nothing. I'm sort of thinking in similar veins. However, I'm not picking Apollo Crews. I kind of just picked a name at random that wasn't a part of a tag team. It's like, I didn't pick anyone from Heavy Machinery, or the Good Brothers, or Slater and Rhino, or the Ascension, that was it. No one from the B team, not Lucha House Party, or Gable and Rude, even though they could do what I said here and break up that team, because please, break up that team. Turn Rude heel. He needs it. Like, that team, I don't understand why it exists. But another one that people have pointed out would be Mustafa Ali. It's like, oh, sorry, I should probably start calling him Ali. Yeah, that's a great name to have. What is Vince McMahon's obsession with one names? Can't he just have a name that they've stuck with and just keep it? Anyway, it's a decent idea considering that what it seems like he was actually supposed to have in terms of a push before he got injured. But I'm actually going with someone who doesn't really have any direction at the moment, and maybe they'll give him a win just for the sake of kind of making the crowd happy, and that's Andrade. But again, I've just kind of picked a name at random that doesn't really have, like, it's a solid, like, the idea of Mustafa Ali is a solid thought. Again, I call him Mustafa again. I need to stop doing that. Or actually, I probably should keep doing that just so WWE doesn't get their will. Also, by the way, you have to excuse every time I just roll my chair over. It's because I'm not doing anything on that computer. It goes black all the time. So I kind of have to just wiggle the mouse and try to keep the thing up. Hold on, I'm just gonna get the thing back on track. But yeah, so yeah. My prediction is going to be that Andrade is winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. But again, as history has shown, it's not going to help him in any way. And I don't really have any faith that they're going to do much with Andrade going forward anyway. So hey, how they even ended his feud with Rey Mysterio, and we don't even know. And yeah, what we're going to do after that, I don't know. But yeah, there we are. I think there's only one pre-show match left so far. They could announce something else for the pre-show. I mean, there's 16 matches on this damn card. There's one more match announced for the pre-show. As far as I can tell, yeah, only one more. That being the Cruiserweight Championship match. Once again, they always put the Cruiserweights on the pre-show, don't they? That is champion Buddy Murphy defending his championship against Tony Nese. Sorry, I had to stretch my back a little because I've been kind of bent over to use the chair as support. But anyway, yeah, this is the one pre-show match I'm actually looking forward to seeing. I mean, I've seen in the past few matches that he's had that Buddy Murphy is a really damn good wrestler. He's had some amazing matches with Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, that fatal four-way at the Rumble, with Hideo Itami, and I don't remember exactly who else was part of that match. But there were a few people involved, but that was pretty much Hideo Itami's last pay-per-view match, kind of, because it was a pre-show before he got his release. Anyway, and then there's Tony Nese, who I mean, I've seen a few matches of his, and he's pretty good, I guess. So this could be a really good match. As for who's gonna win this one, I think it's gonna be Tony Nese. Like, I feel like he could actually do really well as a cruiserweight champion, and give him a chance to build himself as one of the top stars. And there's a good, decent feud going on here where Tony Nese used to be sort of a friend, enforcer for Buddy Murphy for a while, until he won this number one contender tournament, and Buddy Murphy being the conniving champion attacked him and ended that relationship to keep his championship. You know, try to gain every advantage. But yeah, there's some good stuff to go on there. Yeah, Tony Nese, that's my prediction for that one. Don't really have much else to say because I don't really watch 205 Live. I check in on every now and then if there's something that looks interesting to me. But for the most part, I've only learned about 205 Live here and from bits and pieces and what other people have told me, and a few matches I actually see on the pay-per-views. So yeah, and so I think that's all the matches on the pre-show. There is one more match that could end up on the pre-show, but since it's not listed on the pre-show here, I think now is the time to move on to the main card of WrestleMania. And we will start with, let's see, which one do we start with? Yeah, let's just go in order here from bottom to the top, kind of. And we'll start with the latest match that was added. The Revival defending their Raw Tag Team Championship against Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Just out of nowhere, the Revival is defending their championships against a team featuring a wrestler who has lost over 700 matches and never won. That being Kurt Hawkins. That's a whole story there, that he's on a losing streak and is not winning anything. But since it's WrestleMania, I have a feeling that that losing streak is coming to an end. We're actually going to see the end of it. Yeah, there's also a problem. My computer, the one I'm using to record myself, also goes black every now and then, since I'm not really doing anything on the computer, just talking to the camera. But the point here is that sorry. The point here is that I think they're gonna do, a big moment for the WrestleMania crowd, in that Kurt Hawkins' streak finally ends. He finally wins a match. He wins the tag team titles. Him and Zack Ryder are becoming two-time tag team champions. So yeah, I think actually Kurt Hawkins' streak is coming to an end. Sorry again, I have some stomach issues. It's nothing serious, it's just I've probably eaten too much today or something like that. But the point here being that I see this streak coming to an end. Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder winning the championship. Probably mentioned it 100 times now. Actually, just true. Sorry, I am just talking so much out of line here. It's mostly because of the fact that I don't really know what to say. It's a match that's just been added, and I don't really know how to justify other than saying that I think it's going to be a Mania moment that Kurt Hawkins finds exclusive. I need to move on. I've already said what I'm going to pick. Next up is a Fatal 4-Way match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. This time featuring the Usos the champions, facing the team of Sheamus and Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, and potentially Ricochet and Aleister Black. I say potentially because Ricochet and Aleister Black just recently had a NXT Tag Team title match against the War Raiders, which they lost. And after the match, it sort of looked like Ricochet got injured. Nothing has been said so far, but it kind of looked like it because he was surrounded by medical staff right after he lost. He was able to get up, and stand and have a last Raw, because that match was pretty much the last match they're going to have in NXT before they're making splash as full-time members of the main roster. And I am super terrified of what they're going to do with Aleister. They've already done some bad stuff with his entrance by giving it sound effects. Same thing goes for Ricochet, but let's just say I like Ricochet, but Aleister, I loved Aleister in NXT. I really don't want WWE to screw him up on the main roster. But the signs are not good. So yeah, it could be that this match gets changed into just a triple threat. It could be that this injury isn't a thing, and we're actually going to get a fatal 4-way. But regardless, even if Aleister and Ricochet are in it or not, I still think the Usos are retaining this title. It's such a thrown together match. It feels like just to get people on the card. It's like they didn't want to push everyone into the Battle Royal. Because I think of all the people I announced, there's only, like, I announced, I just read the people who were announced so far, but there's probably going to be a few more women in the Women's Battle Royal. But apparently there's only one person who hasn't been announced. It's going to be some sort of surprise, I guess. But I still think, the winner's going to be, Andrade, but I've already said that. Anyway, I don't see the Usos losing the titles this time. I see them retaining the championships, possibly pinning Rusev and Shinsuke, because what exactly do they matter recently? They had a feud with each other over the US title, then that got dropped off to R-Truth of all people, and then suddenly they're a tag team, and then they lost to the New Day and mean nothing again. Yeah, they're probably just there to eat the pin here. And yeah, I'm predicting the Usos are going to retain. Let's see, the next match is the Women's Battle Royal, so I'm going to skip that. Next match is one I'm going to save for later. So let's get to the third tag team title match. And it's another Fatal 4-Way. It's Bayley and Sasha Banks, the Women's Tag Team Champions, facing off against the reunited Beth Phoenix and Natalya, which, may I remind you, they were once in a tag team called Divas of Doom. It wasn't a tag team division back then, but they were indeed a tag team. But I guess because they thankfully want to drop the term divas all around, they wisely just call them Beth Phoenix and Natalya. The IIconics is the next part of the opponent, and finally Nia Jax and Tamina. So it's another Fatal 4-Way. Featuring a Hall of Famer who's coming out of retirement for this one title match, and yeah, you're starting to notice that I don't really care. That I seem to be a bit melancholy when it comes to a lot of these matches, and I'm just mumbling a lot because I'm struggling to really care about what's going on. It's part of the reason why I was unsure about watching WrestleMania, is because I didn't really care. I'm wondering if I put that as one of the cons on this list. No, all I wrote was the build-up is shit, which is true, and that kind of feels like it's like, what can I really say about the tag team title, the women's tag team titles? Like, sure, there's a division for that now, but one, it's one set of titles, which is not good for an era that has the brand split. If that's going to continue, I'll get to that in a moment. Or actually, I'm not getting to that until the end of the video, if you want to know, because that's when I'm going to be talking about the main event. It's on a team that I really don't enjoy. It's like Sasha and Bayley. I really hate that they're a tag team. It's like, and specifically, it's because of Sasha Banks. I don't hate Sasha Banks. It's just I really don't like her as a face. She was great as a heel, but during her entire main roster run, she's been a face, and I just don't think she's a good face at all. I don't like her as a face. I feel like she should have turned heel and turned on Bayley a long time ago. But no, we're still here. But yeah, so this one, I'm kind of, in terms of predictions, I'm just kind of going with my hope that maybe we could break up this tag team by taking the titles off of them. So I am actually picking the IIconics, thinking maybe they can have something to do with those tag team titles, and they can maybe build up the SmackDown side of things, because the SmackDown side of the tag team division, the women's tag team division, has been poor as crap. And hell, maybe we could see them go down to NXT and defend the titles against the Sky Pirates, who will hopefully take the titles, because after seeing them in their match at TakeOver, I am freaking loving the Sky Pirates. They are amazing together. And I love this little story they were telling in that Fatal 4-Way. But I'm not discussing TakeOver here. Again, go watch it. It's great. So yeah. My pick's going to be the IIconics, in vain hope that maybe that could end the Boston Hug connection. That's actually what they're fucking called. Yeah. I'm picking the IIconics purely because I don't see Beth and Natalya winning it, because I think this is going to be a one and done for Beth Phoenix. Like, she's coming out of retirement just for this one match, and then she's going to go back to her old life. Nia and Tamina have already lost to Sasha and Bayley, and I don't see them winning now. No, I don't think anybody cares anymore. I think Nia Jax's steam as a heel has just been completely evaporated. Like, everyone was pissed off at what she did to Becky Lynch, but since Becky's been booked so badly in recent weeks, I don't think people care anymore. Besides, or maybe they've just turned their heat towards a different woman. Again, talk about that later. Yeah, IIconics. Next match, we have Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Interesting choice for a match for Roman Reigns when he's come back from leukemia fighting. For those of you who don't know, Roman Reigns won the Universal Championship at SummerSlam, had a mini feud with Braun, as I mentioned, and then he was diagnosed with leukemia. Came out, spoke as the man behind the character, Joanna White, and relinquished the Universal Championship and walked away, and was pretty much gone up until right before Fastlane, I think. So that was right before Survivor Series. No, right before Crown Jewel, actually, but it was about 5 months, I think. Maybe. Nah, actually, probably less than that. But he was gone for quite a long time. Then he came back, told everyone he was in remission. Had a match together with Dean and Seth as part of the Shield. They beat the Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley in a 6-man tag. And now Drew McIntyre wants to put Roman back on the shelf by beating him here in a match. Roman Reigns has, of course, accepted the match, and he's obviously gonna win. It's Roman Reigns. It's what I expect at this point. I want Drew to win, because I want him to be built up as a proper big-time heel. But it's Roman Reigns. He just came back from leukemia. It's gonna happen. I know what to expect at this point. I'm kind of apathetic towards Roman Reigns these days. Like, I don't hate Roman Reigns anymore, I don't think. I think what I said, I've said this before, I'm not sure if I've said it in the video, but I've said it before, but I think one of the things that could help quell the Roman Reigns hate would be if he, left the main event scene for a while. Obviously, I didn't want him to leave the way that he did, because I would never wish leukemia upon anyone. So I'm happy he's back, but I'm also not happy about, just where we're going with his character. It's like, I'm super happy that Joe Anoa'i is back on his feet. He's quelled the disease for now, because it's cancer. It could come back at any time, really. That's a sad thing. But I'm really happy for Joe. Not that happy to see Reigns. Like, I'm happy to see Joe healthy. Not so happy to see Roman Reigns, because I've said it many. That's a belief I hold. You separate the character from the person. It's like, it's okay to feel sorry for Joe Anoa'i, but I said this when Joe went away. I said, I'm really hoping that Joe beats this, but I don't really care for the Roman Reigns character, so I won't lose sleep if Roman Reigns the character doesn't come back. Joe comes back, great. I'm happy he is healthy. Roman, not so much. And again, when I say Joe, I mean Joe Anoa'i, the man behind Roman Reigns, not another person named Joe on this. I'll talk about that match later, but I've talked a bit too much about the Roman Reigns situation. The match itself, I mean, it's gonna be... I haven't really talked too much about match quality, what I think it's gonna be, but if you want, the Battle Royals are not gonna really do anything for me. The tag matches are probably not gonna be worth anything. It's like the Revival versus Hawkins and Ryder is probably not gonna do anything. Most likely the Fatal 4-Ways, both of them are gonna feature those stupid multi-team tag rules that WWE likes to employ, where only 2 people are allowed to be in the ring at all times, and they can actually tag out opponents. I really hate that type of match. But yeah. And then we have oh yeah, and the Cruiserweight match is probably going to be good, but because it's on the pre-show, it's probably going to be ruined by having some commercials or backstage interviews in the middle of the match. That's usually what happens. And then there's Roman versus Drew, which is probably going to be a decent match. But again, I want Drew to win this match, but it's Roman Reigns. I know what to expect at this point. Roman's going to win this one. What's next? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to talk about one match before. Like, we're going to talk about the mid-card title matches, and I want to start with the US title match. Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio, which we don't know for certain if that match is going to go through or not. I don't know for certain if Rey Mysterio and that match is going to go through, because, like, I think on the Raw before WrestleMania, Rey Mysterio had a match with Baron Corbin where he apparently suffered an injury. I think it was an ankle injury, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, Rey suffered an injury, and now that match is kind of in jeopardy. We don't know for certain if the match between Joe and Ray is going to go through, or if it's going to be cancelled, if someone else is going to take Ray's place. But regardless, I think Samoa Joe is retaining his US title, even possibly by forfeit, possibly even if Ray is there, he's going to win. I just don't see Samoa Joe losing that title just yet. So yeah, if Ray has been replaced by the time I upload this video or right before WrestleMania, my prediction is going to stand. I think Joe is going to retain. So yeah, we don't know if the match is going to go through or not, but I still think Joe is retaining the US title. And before I have to stop the recording and do a new one, because I can only record an hour of footage before I have to do a new one. We have the last sort of middling match. Bobby Lashley, the Intercontinental Champion, defending against Finn Balor, or should I say Demon Finn Balor. As was implied on Raw, this match is going to feature the Demon Finn Balor. So obviously Finn is going to get the title back, because yes, Finn Balor's actually beaten Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental Championship before. Granted, he beat Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush in a handicap match by pinning Leo. But then Bobby Lashley won the title back thanks to interference, I think, from either Leo Rush or Baron Corbin or something like that. He got the title back. Finn now gets a rematch. Yeah, he's going to bring the Demon. Not going to bring the Demon to fight Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. But nah, WrestleMania, Intercontinental Championship against the man he's already beaten. Kind of. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's nice. It's going to be somewhat nice to see the Demon again, but it's like, obviously Finn is going to win this match. That's just what's going to happen. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Finn Balor is definitely winning the Intercontinental Championship. There you go. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut the recording here, and after that we'll get back to the next matches. We'll see what we can see if there's anything really interesting to go for, because so far, not off to a good start, are we?
Nope.
Okay, so before we get to the next few matches, which actually are ones worth talking about, I wanted to look a little bit over the pros and cons list that I made, which I set. So I'm just gonna look at the pros and cons list. I mean, again, I've already really made the decision to actually watch Mania. I've been really unsure in the past few weeks, but, well, actually not past few weeks, pretty much past few days, because I was really toying with the idea of skipping Mania and, you know, getting a good night's sleep on Sunday, because one of the cons I mentioned here is that it's going to be way too long. There is an estimation saying that it's going to be probably 7.5 hours long. I'm predicting it's going to be even longer. At the 7.5 hours, that's probably going to be the main show. With the pre-show, it's probably going to be 9 hours. Oh, dearie me. So it's going to be a marathon for the ages. Hell, if it's true, and usually WrestleMania starts at 11, it's gonna be 8 o'clock by the time I'm done and I can go to sleep. No, actually, I'll get to that one at the end, but there is a reason I'm probably not going. But let's look at a few of the pros and cons here. I've already mentioned 2 of the cons. It's that the build-up is shit, as I've mentioned. Like, the build-up has been pretty weak so far. It's like none of the matches really all that exciting in terms of build up. It's way too long. Oh yeah, I also kind of mentioned the third con. They screwed over Asuka. So, which yes, that is a con for me because of how badly they booked. Let's look at some of the pros I have. One is kind of a mundane one. I've already paid for it because really, since I've watched Takeover, it's probably on the point where if I were to cancel the network, they already have my money for this month. So if I watch Mania and then cancel, they won't get my money for the next pay-per-view, and I'm planning on taking a break from a small break. I'm not going to watch the pay-per-views going forward because those usually, whenever a pay-per-view happens, it usually throws my sleep schedule out of whack. But I feel like I need to take a break after WrestleMania. Kind of. It's like I'm still going to keep up a little bit of what happens on Raw, but not that much. I'm not going to get too invested. Unless they announce a certain Undertaker match I want to see against AJ Styles. That will keep me going. But I'm hoping for much there. But yeah. As for again, already paid for. Then there is a certain thing that happened a couple of weeks ago. If you're a wrestling fan, you probably know about this one. The John Oliver segment on Last Week Tonight, featuring WWE, talking about their business practices, the independent contractor stuff, the pension plans, all that. And he encouraged the fans to, when they go to WrestleMania, to chant for wrestlers to get better pensions and all that. You know, basically getting a lot of casuals to go to WrestleMania and just scream their head off at Vince McMahon to try and get a change going. So I kind of want to see if they're actually going to do that. If it's during the pre-show, if it's on the main card itself, if it's during a match they're bored with. Who knows? I kind of want to see what they're going to do with that. Maybe it's not going to be anything. Hell, they've actually invited John Oliver to come to WrestleMania. There is potential to what they're going to do here. I don't know. So yeah. And as I mentioned, I forgot to mention my thoughts on Finn versus Bobby and Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. If that match goes ahead, then they're probably going to be decent. So yeah, that's another pro. The matches are probably going to be good. They're going to be good. Like, the match quality is like, in terms of in-ring ability, everyone on the roster is probably pretty good. So yeah, we can probably see some good matches going forward. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. I mean, I'm gonna be, and another pro is that, well, that's already happened now, but I was going to watch Takeover regardless of my decision, and I did, and I'm good for it because I loved Takeover New York. It was great. But over to the con is, I mentioned fuck the pre-show, and I do hate the Battle Royals on the pre-show, and I hate the fact that the Cruiserweights are on the pre-show. I feel like they should be on the main card, but nope, they're on the pre-show. And I also wrote Raw failed, as in the go-home show for Raw didn't really help my decision. It's like, it was a pretty crap episode of Raw. There was 2 segments that were good. It's like, that was the Batista segment and the brawl, kind of the brawl, because it was a good brawl, but I'll get to that when I get to the main event. And SmackDown didn't, it's like, it did a few things, like there were a couple of things there that were good, but it overall wasn't all that great either. And the rest I sort of want to talk about when I come to the main event, because I have a lot of things to say about the main event, even though something I'm going to say there is probably going to make a lot of it invalid. But enough about that. There's one more thing I want to mention, and that is a couple of other things that is not mentioned on here because it's not a match. It's that we're also going to get a Elias concert, which is most likely going to get interrupted by something or somebody, who knows who. And that's usually what happens. I mean, it happened at Fastlane. Yeah, it was Fastlane, where he was interrupted, where he did have a few musical numbers, and then he was interrupted by Lacey Evans, and he was attacked by Randy Orton, and Randy Orton was attacked by AJ Styles to build up that match, which is actually the next one I'm going to be talking about. But first, before I get to that, I have to mention one more thing, even though it's pretty insignificant, is that we actually have a host for WrestleMania this year, Alexa Bliss. Because she's been, for some reason, just moved into a non-wrestling role recently. I don't quite get why. I thought she was cleared to compete. But evidently not. Evidently she's just having these horrible talk show moment with Bliss things that just doesn't work. But yeah. Anyway, like I said, the next match we're going to be talking about is AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. A match that was rumored a couple of weeks before the Royal Rumble, I think. And initially, it's like I thought, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I've seen it on SmackDown once before. It was decent then, but I'm not entirely sure I want to see it again. But hey, I guess it's a decent match. I mean, both men are good wrestlers. They could probably pull out something at WrestleMania. Then the match was pretty much confirmed in lead-ups to SmackDown and Elimination Chamber, and yeah, that's the match we're getting. And another reason I wasn't all that initially interested is because there goes another chance for me to get AJ versus Taker. If you couldn't tell, that's a match I really want to see. It's probably the only dream match I have, is to see AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. Probably not going to get it at we're not going to get it at WrestleMania because AJ's facing Randy. Maybe one of the Saudi Arabia shows? Who knows? I mean, I'm pretty sure Taker's going to be at some of those. I mean, he was at both of the previous ones. He's probably going to be at the next one. And as for whether or not he's going to be at this year's WrestleMania, I'll talk about that in a few segments. Actually, in a few minutes, actually, because we're not getting to a certain match yet. But anyway. But the point was, I wasn't really all that interested when this match was, announced. However, the build-up to AJ versus Randy has actually been one of the good ones, because wow, those promos that they cut, both Randy and AJ, it was vicious attacks, just on their careers, of what they've done in the wrestling business. You know how AJ worked on the indie scene and in old bingo halls and all that, while Randy was in WWE. How Randy Orton, like AJ keeps saying that that SmackDown is the house that AJ Styles built, even though Randy correctly points out that SmackDown existed long before AJ ever debuted. Meanwhile, AJ's taking pokes at the fact that Randy Orton has been having a bit of a downward spiral, and how he keeps Randy keeps saying that he's never needed help to get where he is. even though, you know, he's the son of a legendary wrestler and grandson of a somewhat famous wrestler. And he's pretty much had his entire career built up on teams like Evolution, Legacy, Rated RKO, the Wyatt family, and also that when AJ was wrestling bingo halls, Randy was here getting suspended for wellness violations. Yeah, there is some personal business going on there. I mean, not in real life, but I mean, the feud has gotten really personal, and honestly, I'm really looking forward to it. I want to see these two just beat the hell out of each other at WrestleMania. So yeah, good job on those two. They've actually made me really interested in seeing this match. As for who's gonna win, that's the one I'm a little bit tricky. It's like, I initially just thought this is going to be another big win for AJ, but someone pointed something out to me really that made me think, like, yeah, that does make sense, and that this could be a feud, a long-standing feud. It could just be longer than WrestleMania. So potentially Randy could win this one to continue the feud a little bit. But no, I still think AJ Styles is going to win. I still think this is going to be a big win for AJ Styles. So AJ gets a big win, potentially setting up that match with Taker. Again, that's full stop, but I still think AJ is going to get a big win at WrestleMania, because that is usually, he has gotten a few big wins at WrestleMania. It's like his first one notwithstanding, where he lost to Jericho. It's like he's beaten Shane McMahon, he's beaten Shinsuke in a WWE Championship match, and now he can beat Randy Orton. So yeah, I'm thinking I think AJ's gonna win this one, but that's one of the matches I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, I'm hoping to see that. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Up next, we have another feud that's pretty personal. It's a Falls Count Anywhere match with Shane McMahon facing off against his former tag partner, The Miz. Now, this feud, I've had a bit of an ups and downs with this one. On the one hand, the whole thing about Shane McMahon winning the Best in the World tournament, it's like, I just loved the joke. I actually, it's like a lot of people got upset about it. I loved the joke, especially because the man he beat to win the tournament was Dolph Ziggler, and if you know me, you know I hate Dolph Ziggler. So this was brilliant. Like I get the joke about Shane McMahon is the best professional wrestler in the world, and he's beaten Dolph Ziggler twice at Crown Jewel and at Survivor Series. Yeah. But then the joke kind of fell a little bit flat for me when they actually put Miz and Shane together as a tag team, and they won the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Granted, they only held it for a month and lost it to the Usos. Didn't lose it back. They won it from Sheamus and Cesaro, but then they lost it to the Usos. It's like, I mean, they were an entertaining duo, I'll give them that, but I just didn't think Shane McMahon should be in the title picture. Yeah, it's like, I love the joke of him being the best in the world, but actually treating him like he's actually the best in the world is a little far, in my opinion. Like, I sort of enjoyed the joke of it, but having him actually win titles didn't sit well with me. However, they have actually built this feud pretty decently. It's like there's a lot of personal feuding going on. Shane is the heel, which is really nice, because I was thinking they're gonna turn Miz heel because that's what he's good at. But Miz being face, and I'm shocked that he's actually been as good as he is, because a couple of years ago he was back in 2013, I think. Miz actually was a face, and he was terrible at it. So I thought he was in that circle of people who only work as heels. But he's proven me wrong. He's actually pretty damn good as a face. But yeah, as for who's going to win this one, I mean, some people have said that it's Shane, so there's every chance he could win. But then again, Shane's track record at WrestleMania isn't all that great. It's like, sure, he's won 3 matches at WrestleMania, like one against X-Pac thanks to the Authority, or the Corporation, I think it was called back then. One against his own dad. That's like against Vince. So, I mean, Vince McMahon can never win at WrestleMania. And last year when he teamed with Daniel Bryan, that was more Daniel Bryan's victory than Shane McMahon, even though he pretty much battered the hell out of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn before Bryan crushed them. But hey. So yeah, I think this is where The Miz gets retribution and beats Shane McMahon. It's Falls Count Anywhere, so in terms of match quality, we could see some interesting use of the arena. Possibly some weapons, because in WWE, Falls Count Anywhere also means no disqualification for some reason. Even though that would be a hardcore match. But I'm not gonna fight about that right now. Yeah, it could be a fun match to watch. Yeah, I'm somewhat looking forward to that one. Another match I'm somewhat looking forward to, though not for match quality's sake or story's sake, well, kind of story, but not really, is the next one, Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin, which, by the way, is actually advertised as Kurt Angle's farewell match, because he announced on Raw, I think a month ago, that he's come WrestleMania, he's retiring from wrestling. He's officially leaving wrestling as a whole, and he started this retirement tour where he fought against people like Apollo Crews, Chad Gable, AJ Styles for 2 minutes, Samoa Joe. He was supposed to fight Rey Mysterio, but that was cancelled in favor of Rey Mysterio versus Baron Corbin. That worked out well. And speaking of Baron Corbin, yeah, Kurt Angle's got to choose who he wanted to face in his final match at WrestleMania, and he chose, to everyone's dismay, Baron Corbin. To be fair, there is a bit of story here to this match. You know, Corbin made Kurt's life a living hell during his time as Raw General Manager when he was the Constable, and then made his life even worse when he was acting General Manager. And then yeah, and also there's the fact that these two have actually faced off before on that random episode of Raw. It was kind of a bad match. In fact, it was to the point where Kurt Angle didn't even get beaten by the end of days. He got beat by the Deep Six, which isn't Corbin's finisher, and he's never actually beaten anyone until that point. And it was a clean win too. So much for Kurt. So maybe he just wants to get his win back. And that's what I'm predicting is going to happen at Mania. He's going to get his win back and beat Baron Corbin. Now, here's where it gets a bit tricky. Because people have thought that this can't possibly be Kurt Angle's last match. Like, it can't possibly be the actual match. There has to be something, like Corbin gets beaten down and someone else takes his spot. Maybe after maybe they are going to do the match, but then after Kurt wins in very quickly, someone else someone else comes out and challenges him for his real match. The latter is kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. I think they're actually going to go through with Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. Kurt's going to win, and then someone's going to come out and challenge Kurt Angle for his retirement match, for his actual retirement match at WrestleMania. But who? Now, some names, particularly, well, one name in particular is pretty much on everyone's mind, and that's John Cena. You know, for story purposes, John Cena was the first match on the main WWE scene was against Kurt Angle. His debut match was against Kurt Angle. He lost that match, sure, but he came out and just attacked and just challenged Kurt Angle to show ruthless aggression. That's the way he put it. And they've had some big matches over the years where Kurt has beaten Cena. He's actually one of the two people who's actually made Cena tap out. The other being Benoit. That one was not part of the joke I actually caught there. Yeah. So there is some story there. So yeah, it could very easily be that John comes out and challenges. One thing that has also been thrown around is The Undertaker, because as you may have seen if you looked at the build-up for this show, there's no sign of Taker. None whatsoever. He's not been mentioned on the programming. There's been no talk of a match. Unlike last year, where we knew with how much Cena was trying to get to talk to The Undertaker, we knew for a fact that Taker was going to show up and fight Cena at Mania, even if they never announced it. This one, though, is a little bit more uncertain, because this one kind of looks like Taker is actually not going to be at WrestleMania. Like, last year I would have said, if anyone thought Taker wasn't going to show up at Mania, you were a flippin' idiot. This one, though, if you say to me Taker's not going to show up at Mania, I actually kind of believe you, because there's no indication he's actually going to be there. Maybe he's taking this Mania off. Well, okay. Doesn't want to do Mania. Maybe he wants to wait until the Saudi Arabia show. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. But, like I said, that Taker's name has also been thrown around for a potential opponent for Kurt Angle. You know, Kurt and Taker have had some interesting matches over the years, and particularly their No Way Out 2006 match, which was really damn good. And especially about that match was that was actually a match that was considered for WrestleMania 22, but since Taker was suggesting that maybe Kurt could end the streak, and Kurt said, no, I don't want to end that streak, because that was a common theme for wrestlers like Randy Orton. Randy Orton the previous year, where he said he has too much respect for Taker that he doesn't want to end that streak. Only Vince had that much respect for Taker that he wouldn't end that streak. But anyway, another fun fact is that Kurt Angle is one of two people who's actually made The Undertaker tap out. Granted, both times that Taker's tapped out, it was in controversial fashion. The first one being that Taker tapped out just as he was pinning Kurt Angle, so the match ended in a draw, and if you've seen their SummerSlam match, you know that Brock Lesnar's the only other one who's made Taker tap out, but that was the whole bullshit with the referee and the timekeeper. Whatever, it's not important. So there is some precedence there, and I have some stock in the idea that maybe Kurt Angle could beat Baron Corbin, celebrate. He's about to leave when suddenly, gong, gong, out comes the dead man. He has his final match, puts Kurt Angle away, 1, 2, 3, or possibly makes him submit because he was a submission specialist, and maybe he beats him with the Hell's Gates. Either way, Kurt Angle's career ends at the hands of the dead man. Potentially. If it's Cena, that could also be good. But if his final match is against Corbin, it's just Corbin. That would be a poor choice for a final match. But hey, if it's gonna be Kurt, hey, I guess. I mean, Kurt Angle has been pretty. I've had a pretty interesting relationship with Kurt Angle, and I've seen a lot of his matches. Like just recently in build-up for another match, I watched WrestleMania 21. I watched his match with Shawn Michaels, and it was really damn good. I was actually planning on watching the rematch from Vengeance 2005. Probably not tonight because or maybe I should because I'm planning on watching the Hall of Fame tonight, so maybe I could watch it like right before or something like that, or maybe just to warm up for WrestleMania. Sorry. Or I guess I should say Gesundheit to me. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, but yeah, that match was really damn good. I've seen a lot of his promos. I watched his Hall of Fame speech. Like I wasn't really around the time when Kurt was there. It's like I started watching wrestling in 2007, and he had left by that point. But I have seen a few of his matches over the years, and they're really damn good. Particularly his match with Benoit at the Royal Rumble 2003, which is a damn good match. His match with Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania 20 is damn good. But also I have a little bit of a personal memory of mine, because when I first got into wrestling, one of the ways I got into it was through SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. I played that game, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm starting to get a cold or if I just happened to sneeze for some reason. Anyway, I distinctly remember there was a storyline in story mode in that game between Kurt Angle and whatever character I was playing at the time. I don't remember which one. And he challenged me to an ultimate submission match. I don't remember if I was the champion or he was the champion at the time, but I distinctly remember that we had that ultimate submission match. For like 15 minutes or something like that. And by the end of that match, the score was 10-0 to me. Like, I just destroyed Kurt Angle. So, yeah. Called himself the submission specialist, and I absolutely destroyed him. That's a somewhat fond memory I have from that game, and one of the reasons I remember Kurt Angle. It's not really something he did, but he was not a submission specialist, so yeah. So that's also one of the pros I have for watching Mania. It's Kurt Angle's final match. It would be nice to see him, the end of his career. So yeah. But yeah, and I think if the final match is going to be against Corbin, he's going to win, because regardless if the match against Corbin is his final match or if he's going to have another one, I think Kurt's going to win. I'm sticking with Kurt beating Baron Corbin. at the very least. Like, Kurt is going to beat Baron Corbin. That's it. That's one I absolutely think. I think they're absolutely going to go through with Corbin versus Kurt. But whether or not that actually is his final match, or if he's going to have 2 matches, who knows. But I definitely think that Corbin is losing to Kurt Angle. That's what I think. And speaking of last matches, next we move on to a match I've been looking forward to for before it was even announced, all the way back at SmackDown 1000. At SmackDown 1000, there was a meeting between a group that I don't think really had it. The group itself didn't really have an impact on SmackDown itself, but the individual members certainly did. Maybe not Ric Flair, but I'm not entirely sure about it. No, wait. No, that was Vince. Yeah. I don't think Ric Flair had too much of an impact on SmackDown, but Batista, Randy Orton, and Triple H certainly did individually. But maybe not as Evolution. But the point here being that Evolution was reunited for one night, just to do a small promo. Like, all 4 members were in the ring for SmackDown 1000, and Batista took the ring and praised Randy Orton, praised Ric Flair, and then he praised Triple H for a moment, and he ended his spiel by saying, "There's nothing that this man hasn't done in this business except beat me." And right there, seeds were planted. Like, like that one line, just planted the seeds, saying, "Looks like that's the match of Mania, huh? Triple H versus Batista." And there was another reason to think that was going to be the match before it was actually announced, is that Batista, on various podcasts, had said that one of the things he wanted, it's like he wanted to come back to wrestling, he just didn't really like management all that much. But one thing, but he was getting on in years, he is around 50 right now, I think, and he has his enormous movie career going. It's like he's getting roles all over the place, and he has big success with Guardians. How he just got just recently, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is back on track with James Gunn, since James Gunn was rehired, and Batista had said multiple times that he wanted to come back for a final program with Triple H, and that was how he was going to end his career. So that was a thought, but nothing really came of it for a while, until one Raw, I think, a little bit before, either right after Fastlane or right before Fastlane or something like that. It was Ric Flair's 70th birthday, and they were celebrating it. But before, and as they were introducing Ric Flair, he didn't come out. Instead, we cut backstage and we see Batista dragging a cameraman over to Ric Flair's dressing room. He goes in, beats up Ric Flair, drags him outside, goes up to the camera and say, "Hey Hunter, do I have your attention now?" Oh! He actually did that, and it was set. That was going to be the match. Triple H came out the next night and tossed shit at Batista. Actually broke kayfabe a little bit with a few of the things he did by calling Ric Flair by his real name, mentioning the fact that Batista had been whining online and all that, and his whole thing about corporate lawyers and corporate lawyers is he is working with Marvel and therefore with Disney. And then Batista came, and then the next night on Raw, Batista came out and screamed to Triple H that to give him what he wants, and that is a match at WrestleMania. And Triple H accepted and made it a no-holds-barred match. And one line in that promo kind of cemented what we all sort of knew was going to happen. He said he wanted a chance to end his career on his terms and end Triple H's career on his terms. So that line pretty much cemented to me that this right here is going to be Batista's final match. This is actually going to be Batista's final match. So it's going to be a double retirement at WrestleMania. It's going to be Kurt Angle and Batista. And possibly it could be three. No, it's like they have built up the fact that one condition that Batista added to the match is that if Triple H were to lose, his in-ring career will be over. Which again kind of screams to me that this isn't Triple H's final match. I don't think that's how Triple H is going to go out. I feel like he's the kind of guy who would want to end his career by putting over one of his NXT darlings. I mean, he's done that for a couple of years now. It's like he has been helping putting over some newer stars. Like he lost to Roman Reigns, as much as I didn't want that to happen. He lost to Seth Rollins, and he lost to Ronda Rousey. I mean, yes, he also lost to Kurt Angle, but Triple H is probably not going to end his career in a match against Batista. Batista is going to be the one to have his career end. So if it wasn't obvious, I think Triple H is going to win this match. As for a match, I'm not really sure because I haven't seen Batista wrestle in 5 years now, like since his run in 2014. So I haven't seen him wrestle for quite some time. He could have gotten better, he could have gotten worse. But then again, this is going to be his final match. So if it isn't all that great, it's not that important, really. It's going to be his final match. And that's a really big reason for me, because I think I actually wrote that down as a pro, is that Batista was one of the people who actually really got me into wrestling. Because the first two matches that I think I saw, I might have seen another one beforehand or after, but those are the ones I count as my first matches. Like, the first wrestling match I ever saw was a Hell in a Cell match between Batista and Undertaker at Survivor Series 2007. I think I found it on YouTube because I think someone uploaded the whole match. That was before YouTube's copyright system got as big as it did, so stuff like that probably wouldn't fly. I think that match is probably long gone, but yeah. And I was somewhat intrigued by wrestling by that point, but I wasn't really hooked on it. The match that made me love wrestling was the next match I saw, which I think was in the recommended page or something. It was Batista versus Triple H at Vengeance 2005 Hell in a Cell. That match is brilliant. It's easily in my top 10, and that was the match that made me fall in love with wrestling. So yeah, Batista's one of the 3 people that really got me into wrestling. It's like him and Undertaker introduced me to wrestling. Him and Triple H made me fall in love with wrestling. And it's weird because you'd think the match with Undertaker would have more significance, considering Taker is now my favorite wrestler of all time. But it didn't happen. But the fact that Batista's had such a impact on my time as a wrestling fan just tells me I feel like I need to watch his final match. I feel like that is a huge pro for watching WrestleMania 35, is the fact that I really, really do want to see the final match of Batista's career. Good or bad, it will be nice to see, to be there to see the end of his career. Kind of like with Kurt Angle, but Batista has a bit more importance to me. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing Batista being the one to lose this match and end his career in the match he wanted. And Triple H can go on to have some other matches at the Saudi Arabia show, and potentially at next year's WrestleMania. Again, sorry. Should probably cut those out, but I'm not that confident in my editing to cut out sneezes. So I'm probably just gonna do a little bit of editing, but not that much. It's gonna be a lot. I'm just gonna be editing a few other things. But yeah, that's those matches, and from what I can tell, there's only 3 matches left, and it's the 3 big ones. And I see on the timer that I don't have too much time left on the on my this recording, so I'm probably gonna stop here, and I'm gonna stop the recording for a little bit, and when we come back, we're gonna be talking about the big 3 final matches. And trust me, I'm gonna have a lot to say about a certain match.
Let's do this!
Okay, so as I was preparing to record my predictions for the big 3, I recently found out there's been some news regarding the Rey Mysterio versus Samoa Joe match, and apparently it seems like the match is going to go ahead. So we're actually going to get Joe versus Rey. So maybe the injury wasn't all that bad. Just what I mentioned, since I just found out. Granted, it's an internet rumor. It's not really been said anything by WWE themselves, as far as I know. I don't actually know for certain if they've said anything or not. But it seems like the match is going to go ahead. So hey, that's good. At the very least. Granted, that adds another, that keeps this all 16 matches, so it's going to be a long night. But I'm going to talk about that. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, it's like I mentioned that I was watching the WrestleMania 21 in preparation for a match. I mentioned how I watched the Kurt Angle Shawn Michaels match. I forgot to mention when I talked about Triple H versus Batista that was the match I was preparing for, because I was watching all the previous Triple H versus Batista matches, because I totally forgot about the rest of the build up to Triple H versus Batista, in that Triple H came out and made a bit fun of what Batista had done, like when he challenged Triple H, he spat all over the microphone, and he kept screaming, "Give me what I want," all the time. And then Batista on the final Raw before came out, pointed at the Titantron. They played a video package where they showed off some highlights from the previous Triple H versus Batista matches, with that famous line, line that started the whole, thing, in that there's nothing this man has done in this business except beat me, and just showed Batista just beating the crap out of Triple H and finally pinning him all 3 times. Yeah, I was watching those matches, and they were good matches. With the exception of the Hell in a Cell match, which was an excellent match. Again, one of the matches that got me into wrestling. But again, it was just something I needed to just get out of the way, because I forgot to mention it. But now I can finally. But now it's time to talk about the big 3, the 3 matches that are the most important, the big title matches. And we'll start things off with the Universal Championship. We have Brock Lesnar, the Universal Champion, again, against the winner of the 2019 Royal Rumble, Seth Rollins. Now, this match, it's kind of been a little poorly built. A little. No, actually, it's been kind of poor. It's been a bit poorly built. Part of it was because of Roman Reigns' return, which kind of derailed it for the whole Shield reunion, and the talks of Dean Ambrose leaving after WrestleMania, which, considering how he's been booked recently, I have a feeling maybe that actually is true, that Dean Ambrose is leaving, but that's not really what's important here. What's important is that, Seth has cut some good promos, Paul's got some decent promo, and we're leaning in towards this match at WrestleMania. I mean, the match itself is probably going to be decent, because Brock's matches with some of the smaller people like Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, and Finn Balor has been pretty decent so far, especially the AJ Styles match and the Daniel Bryan match. They've been good matches. So I have faith that Seth Rollins can pull out a good match with Brock Lesnar. So match quality is not really something I'm too worried about. What does worry me a little bit is the result. Now, you'd think that this would be a time to, end the whole Brock Lesnar title reign. I thought I felt the sneeze coming again. You might see one. Anyway, point I was trying to make was that you'd think this would be the time to take the title for Brock Lesnar. But then again, I said that same thing last year, and we know exactly what happened there. Granted, I kind of wanted that to happen, because I didn't want Reigns to be the one to take the title off of Brock, which happened anyway, so it was kind of for naught. But the point here is that there's some speculation that maybe that's not going to happen. And another reason is that there's 3 big matches at WrestleMania, and all 3 of them have some momentum behind it for a big babyface victory. One is Seth Rollins, the other two and Seth Rollins is one of those matches. And people have been thinking that there's no way they're actually going to do 3 big babyface victories. They might do 1, possibly 2, but not all 3, and 1 has to be sacrificed. And a lot of people are thinking that it's going to be this one. That Seth Rollins is going to be the one to fail. And my thought process is, I actually don't think this is the one that's going to fail. I do agree that it seems unlikely that they're going to have all 3 win. But I don't think Seth Rollins is going to be the one to fail. I feel like Seth Rollins is going to actually defeat the Beast and become the Universal Champion. At least I hope so, because what the hell are we gonna... what the hell is WWE thinking if they're gonna keep up this whole Brock Lesnar thing? This whole Brock Lesnar thing has just kind of died out, and the Universal Championship is basically a worthless piece of tin at this point. Seth Rollins could probably fix that by holding that title, defending it against some credible threats like maybe a built-up Drew McIntyre. Maybe we can start up a rivalry with Roman Reigns, probably. Do something big with that. Build something for Seth Rollins instead of keeping the championship just on vacation most of the year in the hands of Brock Lesnar. So yeah, I don't think, or I'm kind of hoping that this whole Brock Lesnar Universal nightmare finally ends and Seth Rollins becomes the new champion. I don't think this is the one that's gonna fall. As for the next big match, the WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan, well, let's talk a little bit about the build-up for this one, because it's a bit of an interesting one. Now, if you watch wrestling, my nose. I don't know why it's acting up so much right now. But anyway, if you watch wrestling recently, right before Survivor Series, Daniel Bryan turned heel and won the WWE Championship. And since he's become this big environmentalist champion that keeps berating the fans for how we live our lives, how we are consumerists and all that, and a lot of politics involved in that, and lifestyle choice. And he's been a big damn obnoxious heel. He's hired Eric Rowan as his, just Rowan now, as his personal bodyguard. And he's eked out a victory on a lot of occasions against people like AJ Styles. They won at the Elimination Chamber, and he beat Kofi Kingston and Mustafa Ali, and he was called Mustafa Ali back then, in a triple threat match at Fastlane. He even replaced the WWE Championship, or at least the design of it, with a more environmentally friendly one made out of rope and has a wooden plate. The design is not bad, but I'm not a huge fan of the coloring of it. So if he were to lose the title to Kofi, I'm hoping we can go back to a more traditional design, or potentially we could bring back, or potentially a brand new design that looks pretty good. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But speaking of his match at Elimination Chamber, that has a bit of that's where this story kind of starts. Because originally there was going to be a big 6-man Elimination Chamber match, and one of the participants in that match was going to be Mustafa Ali, who had had a bit of a feud with Daniel Bryan over the fact that he had this had a tag match with him when he actually accidentally beat Daniel Bryan. But right before Elimination Chamber, like a SmackDown or two before that, he got himself injured, so he was taken out of the match and he was replaced by Kofi Kingston. Then there was a big gauntlet match between all the participants in the Elimination Chamber, and Kofi pulled off an amazing performance in that gauntlet match. He got all the way to the final. He actually defeated Daniel Bryan. He beat Samoa Joe, and I think he beat Jeff Hardy. I think that was who he beat. Then he got to AJ Styles, put up a good fight against him, and ultimately lost. And then Randy Orton came in and picked the scrap. Hold on, excuse me for a few seconds. I'm so sorry about that. My nose is just really acting up now. Hopefully it's just... I feel like maybe I'm coming down with a cold or something, but who knows. Hopefully it won't be too much of an hindrance going forward. I am so sorry. But let's get back on track. After that, he entered the Elimination Chamber. It's like Kofi entered the Elimination Chamber with the others, and he had a good showing there. And it came down to him and Daniel Bryan, and they had a fantastic ending to that match. Like, it was such a great match between those two. but ultimately Daniel Bryan pulled out the victory. And because of this, everyone was behind Kofi. Like everyone in the crowd, everyone was hoping for Kofi to get that WWE Championship. And I'm right there with them, because like before this whole program, I'd all but given up hope that Kofi Kingston would become WWE Champion. Like, ever since 2009, I wanted to see Kofi become WWE Champion, but I knew the WWE just never looked at him that way. But with his recent resurgence, there is a chance that could happen. Going forward to Fastlane, he got an opportunity at the championship, but then Vince McMahon replaced him with Kevin Owens for no good reason. Just feels like Vince McMahon is being Vince McMahon, an asshole. Being the asshole that Vince McMahon is. Then at Fastlane, Kofi Kingston and the New Day pleaded with Vince McMahon to make the match into a triple threat. Vince agreed and said Kofi had a match right after. However, as it turned out, the next match wasn't a triple threat for the WWE Championship. It was actually a handicap match with Kofi Kingston versus Sheamus and Cesaro. They squashed him, and then there was actually a triple threat. However, because Vince didn't specify that Kofi would be in it, he was not the third man. It was Mustafa Ali. And this sent Kofi and the New Day on a path of just vindication. He wanted to get Kofi a one-on-one title shot at WrestleMania. So Vince agreed to give Kofi a shot by winning another gauntlet match against Sheamus and Cesaro, Eric Rowan, Randy Orton, and Samoa Joe. He did win that match. However, right after he won it, Vince came out and said, "You know what? One more opponent." And out comes Daniel Bryan. He beats Kofi Kingston, and once again he fails to be put in that match. Then the next week, the New Day comes out and demands one more shot to get Kofi into that title match. They put up another gauntlet match, this time a tag team gauntlet match, which the New Day goes in to win. And they do actually win it, and Kofi finally gets his WWE Championship shot. Unfortunately, I wasn't really all that excited for that moment, because that was the same SmackDown that the Asuka match happened. But enough about that. I've already ranted about that. Anyway, so yeah, there you have. So the match is finally going to go through. Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan, for the WWE Championship. New Day in the New Day in Kofi's corner. Eric Rowan in Daniel Bryan's corner. So, as for who I think is going to win this one, well, I think out of all the matches, I think this is the one that will garner the biggest reaction out of all of them. Like, the way that they built the matches so far, I think this is the one that's actually going to get the biggest reaction out of the entire show if Kofi wins the WWE Championship. And I think WWE knows that. They know that if there's one match that's going to get the biggest pop from the crowd, that the crowd is going to be screaming their heads off if the match gets the babyface win result, this is the one that's going to garner the biggest one. But yes, I do think Kofi Kingston is finally winning the WWE Championship. At least I hope so. I want to see that. I want to finally see Kofi Kingston become WWE Champion. And it would also finally validate a small thing in that a lot of people have been saying about the New Day is that they don't have to break up for them to have a singles put, and that having Kofi win the WWE Championship would help that, because the New Day is still a team even if Kofi Kingston becomes WWE Champion. I know some people have thrown around the idea that maybe the New Day turns on Kofi because of how much attention he's got in recent time, but I really hope they just go for the big feel-good moment. Kind of like they did a takeover just recently. Granted, it wasn't as big as it could have been due to the circumstance surrounding Ciampa, but Johnny's big victory, it was such a good feel-good moment, even if it wasn't as big as it could have been. And I feel like this is what you need to do at WrestleMania. You need to have that big feel-good moment for Kofi Kingston to finally win the WWE Championship. So yeah, I'm hoping that they actually go through with it, and that we're going to see Kofi Kingston win the WWE Championship. So yeah, that's my prediction. I'm thinking Kofi. Okay, that's all the matches apart from one. The one match that I have a lot of things to say about. It's time to talk about the match that really has had one of the biggest influences on my skepticism to whether or not to watch WrestleMania. The main event. The main event featuring Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair in a triple threat match for the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. Winner takes all. So, let's begin this little tirade by discussing how we got here. As I mentioned earlier with my Oscar rant, Becky Lynch was SmackDown Women's Champion going into TLC. But she lost that title to Asuka at TLC. But I didn't mention how she really lost it. I said it has something to do with the Ronda, Charlotte, Becky feud. And that was the fact that Ronda Rousey cost Becky and Charlotte the match by tossing them off a ladder. The reason for this being that in the lead up to Survivor Series, the Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey was going to face up with SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch, but Becky got injured during an episode of Raw thanks to a roll punch from Nia Jax. But before that, Becky had attacked Ronda Rousey. Thus, these two had a bit of bad blood between them. But because Becky was injured, she couldn't compete, so she sent Charlotte into that match. They had a pretty good fight, and then Charlotte got herself disqualified and started beating the hell out of Ronda Rousey with a kendo stick. Then, because of this, Ronda Rousey cost Becky the match, and then at the Royal Rumble, Becky lost her rematch, as I mentioned. However, the night wasn't over for her. Becky Lynch then came out during the Royal Rumble and asked to replace Lana, who had gotten an injury earlier in the night, and while she was making her way to the ring, couldn't actually get there because of the leg injury. The WWE officials, specifically Finlay, said it was okay. She got into the Rumble match. She won, and after the Rumble match, she challenged Ronda Rousey to a match at Mania. However, during the Rumble match, she apparently suffered an injury to her leg, and for some weird reason she didn't want to go see the doctor about it, the WWE doctors, that is. And because she refused to go see the doctor, doctor, she was suspended. Then Becky Lynch started to interfere in various matches, various promos, attacking the Authority, attacking Ronda, all that. Attacking Ronda, all that. And eventually she was given the Authority, or specifically Stephanie and Triple H, told her that she could, that she would be, that they would lift her suspension since she had seen a doctor by that point. All she had to do was say she was sorry. She did. They said, okay, you're reinstated. The match is on. Ronda and Becky. And then Vince McMahon came out. And he said, you know what? I don't accept that apology. You're suspended for 60 days, which conveniently is 2 days, which will end 2 days after WrestleMania. But we need an opponent for Ronda Rousey. In comes Charlotte Flair, who, when Becky was suspended, had been asking for a chance to fight against Ronda Rousey, to finish what they started at Survivor Series and TLC. Becky, of course, tried to interfere wherever she could again, and then for some reason, Becky was reinstated, and instead of getting her title shot thanks to her Royal Rumble victory, all of a sudden she's given a match with Charlotte at Fastlane, where if she won, she would be added to the match for to get a to make it a triple threat for the Raw Women's Championship. However, all of a sudden the leg injury came up again, even though the doctors already cleared her, and then for some reason that was back in. They had a pretty mediocre match, or actually I would call it maybe a bad match, at Fastlane, that ended with Charlotte putting Becky into the figure 8. But as she was in the figure 8, Ronda Rousey ran down, punched Becky Lynch in the face, and Becky Lynch won by disqualification, making it a triple threat. Okay, that was a lot of weird crap to put in. It actually felt a bit overbooked. And really, the booking for all... And this is not the only thing, because I forgot to mention also that during this whole build-up, Ronda Rousey turned heel and also started cutting shoot promos, as it's called, where she talked about how... she talked on Raw, saying that, this is scripted or fake or whatever, and that she could crush everyone because she's legit. And I was like, what are you doing? How is this helping anyone or anything in this match? It really wasn't helping how things were going forward. The build-up was just really aggravating. And honestly, the weeks leading up to Fastlane, I just lost all interest in. I was just starting to lose interest week after week. And really, ultimately, I lost interest right before Fastlane. Then Fastlane happened, and if I hadn't lost interest by then, I would have lost it right there. So it was official, I didn't really care about the match. Even if it did main event the show, which was the rumor at the time, I just figured, I'm more interested in the Kofi match anyway. And then it happened. The Asuka match. Now, I've already mentioned my disdain for this whole Asuka, for them screwing over Asuka with this one. However, as you may notice, Charlotte won the SmackDown Women's Championship, meaning that 2 of the women in this triple threat were champions. That made me question, like, okay, that's a bit concerning. What are they planning? And then Stephanie McMahon came out on Raw and said that now the match is winner takes all. So that means that whoever wins this triple threat match will win both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, it hasn't been specified that one of these people will that this will unify the championships. It just means that it hasn't been specified if this is a title unification. It hasn't specified that this will do anything, but it has put the thought in our minds. And that brings me to one of my biggest cons. Winner takes all, in brackets, the brand split end. Because that's what I'm afraid of here. I'm starting to be afraid of the fact that this whole both championships on the line means that they're planning to end the brand split. That's not the only reason I'm wondering about that. The introduction of the tag team titles without having them to a specific brand was a bit concerning. Granted, they have mentioned that they want to defend it on NXT as well. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it's not that bad. Then there was the NXT call-ups like EC3, Lacey Evans, the Heavy Machinery, Nikki Cross, and then Alistair and Ricochet, all of which have yet to be assigned to a brand. They just jump between shows, and outside of Alistair and Ricochet, they've barely been doing anything, but they're on Raw one week, they're on SmackDown one week. And then in the Kurt Angle retirement tour, all of a sudden Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, and all that are jumping ship. The lead up to the women's tag team match, so the IIconics and Sasha and Bayley and Tamina, and I think Tamina and Nia might have jumped ship a little bit, but jumping back and forth. And of course, this whole triple threat. May I remind you that Ronda is technically the only member of the Raw roster that is involved in this match, while Becky and Charlotte were both on SmackDown. So yeah, they've been jumping back and forth a bit too much in the lead up to WrestleMania, which leads me to a very concerning thought about the fact that this could be leading towards the end of the brand split, and this double title match might be exactly what they're going for. That is concerning to me because because to me, ending the brand split would only cause more problems than it would solve. It would essentially, one, make SmackDown completely worthless again, like it was during the previous time that the brand split was gone, because Raw was the main focus, and SmackDown was basically used as basically a testing ground. It's like, hey, this match worked on SmackDown, let's do it on Raw. There's way too much talent to actually to focus on one show, so if you build to... Hell, we've already seen that it has been a bit of a clusterfuck to build in terms of when they made the decision to make all the pay-per-views dual brand instead of just the big four. And now it's just a bit of a clusterfuck already, and especially considering this triple threat match, because when it was just built as the Raw Women's just for the Raw Women's Championship match, it was already bending. It's like it was already downplaying the SmackDown division and downplaying the SmackDown Women's Champion. As I mentioned, she was left off TV entirely, had meaningless feuds with Mandy Rose. Again, they were downplaying everything. And again, even the tag team titles, who they were hyping up as the first ever tag team women's tag team title, they've kind of fallen to the wayside really in favor of this big triple threat match that they're building up, and it kind of throws everything out of focus because they're focusing all their attention on both Raw and SmackDown on this one match, and leaving all the other ones to the wayside, not using Raw to build up Raw matches, SmackDown to build up SmackDown matches, and Do you see what I'm trying to say here? Everything's being bent out of shape for this one match that the company wants to focus on, and by doing it on both brands, they're kind of screwing it up. And again, there's so much. Look at all the NXT call-ups. They've just been floundering on both shows, just kind of in the background, just not doing anything, because they don't have a brand to be assigned to. It don't really have a place to be. Hell, look at Alice and Ricochet again, because they've had a big thing going with the Revival in that they've beaten them on several occasions, competed for the title, and then all of a sudden they're being added to the SmackDown Tag Team title match for no good reason, as a throwaway match. And speaking of which, they're already in NXT. And again, do you see the absolute problem that comes from trying to end the brand split? It becomes a clusterfuck, and it was a clusterfuck from 2013 all the way to 2016. Those 3 years where the brand split was gone, it was a clusterfuck. It was one of the worst television ever, and it all suffered because of the brand split. When the brand split happened, SmackDown flourished, and it gave some really good story to build. Raw still felt like crap, but I attribute that more to the third hour, because they don't really know how to write 3 hours of programming. But again, there were signs that we could improve that. We just needed better writing. And now, with this match, I have this sinking, horrible feeling that they're trying to end the brand split. And that is the worst decision they can make at this point. And again, by just taking the SmackDown title onto Charlotte and just putting her in there and just sort of saying, oh yeah, the SmackDown Women's title was on the line, kind of putting all the SmackDown women to wayside and just putting in that stupid Battle Royal. Again, get my point? It's being bent out of shape. And this match that I already lost interest in before Fastlane, that you couldn't, like, putting the SmackDown Women's title in there didn't make me care anymore. It actually ruined all my care, because they not only screwed over the SmackDown division, but specifically Asuka, which again, personal bias, I really wanted Asuka to have a big moment at WrestleMania, and now she's just going to be stuck on the pre-show and the Battle Royal. That means nothing. And even if she were to win, again, I think it would actually hurt her. But regardless of that, regardless of all that, even sacrificing Asuka doesn't compare to what I think is the worst thing they could possibly do, which is to end the brand split. And this whole match has been building on this stupid story, an over-convoluted bullshit story involving too much weird storylines, like injured, like it first injured, then not injured, then cleared, then not cleared, then weird matches, then weird stipulation, then the Royal Rumble basically meaning nothing. Nothing's like, it's a clusterfuck, and it didn't have to, but it just became a clusterfuck of a match, and it is so aggravating, and it's so annoying that, again, you see my problem here. This match was the match that made me consider maybe it isn't worth it. Maybe watching WrestleMania isn't worth it, because I'm going to be pretty aggravated about a lot of things. And this main event specifically, because they have announced this is going to be the main event, even though that's not the match I care about them. It's like, they actually posted a video, like, which match should main event? Should it be this match? Should it be Seth versus Brock? A lot of people in the comment section for that video said Kofi versus Bryan, because that's the match that's actually been building a lot of hype. Because before that, like, everyone was hoping for a big Becky Lynch victory, because she's been one of the biggest stars in the company, for her to win against Ronda Rousey. And even when Charlotte was out, like, people were angry about that, but they were at least hoping to see Becky Lynch win. But with this whole clusterfuck of booking, so many people have actually turned on this match, and actually turned on the idea of this match. Like, some people are still on the Becky hype train, which I wasn't really all that into it anyway. But now I'm just so uninterested in this match. In fact, I'm pissed off about how this match has been booked. The build-up has been crap. I have a severe lack of care. I am so freaking angry at what they've done to the rest of the women's division and kind of the program as a whole by hogging so much spotlight. And it just makes me angry. And really, this is where I'm going to come to something I decided even before I made the decision to, even before I got to the question of whether or not I even wanted to bother with WrestleMania. One thing I made sure, as soon as the whole Asuka thing happened, as soon as I realized that maybe they were going to end the brand split, or at least they were going to do a winner take all, I mean, it's like both titles being on the line in that match, I made this decision. Regardless of my decision, regardless of what I do, I'm skipping this match. So I'm not even going to talk about match quality, or whether or not I think this match is going to be good, because I'm not going to see it. Yes, I've decided to actually watch WrestleMania, but this one, this main event, no. And keep in mind, even though I didn't give a crap about the match last year, I did actually sit down and actually watch Brock versus Roman Reigns. Yes, sure, I didn't actually care about that match, but I at least put that on the back. Like, I was thinking, whatever, I can put on the background while I do something else. Only care about the fact that Brock actually won, which I didn't. But that match was terrible, and I knew I didn't give a crap about this match, and the crowd didn't care about this match either. But this match did have some hype behind it. People did somewhat want to see this match, and the build-up has ruined it for me. The idea of it being winner takes all hasn't hyped me up. It's actually lowered me on the match. And more importantly, if this is in fact the end of the if this is an attempt to end the brand split, it is going to ruin everything. So no, this match isn't worth it. In fact, this match I'm skipping it out of 3 reasons. 1, my lack of interest in the match itself. Like I said, the build-up has turned me off of this match already. Like, it was even before this whole SmackDown Women's Championship was added. It was already built so poorly that I didn't want to even see this match before it began. The second being protest. I am skipping it out of protest for how they've handled every damn thing that they've done to the SmackDown Women's Division, to the brand split, to all the programming, and just how bullshit everything has been. It's been bullshit from all of it. And third, and this is more, like I said, it's going to be a long show. And to me, I feel like it would be just good for me to just say, you know what? Fuck this. Fuck this. I'll just take a nap. Or actually, I'll go to sleep early. As soon as the graphics for the main event come up, I'm just gonna go to bed. Just not gonna care. Gonna do some sort of thoughts video the night after, the day after, or something like that. See what other people thought. See if they like the match. They probably will. They probably will like the match. But to me, I'm not gonna bother. I'm gonna take a stand here and just say, I don't care about this match. I hate what it's done to the rest of the card, and I want to go to sleep early because it's probably going to be a 9-hour show. So you know what? Yeah, I'll watch WrestleMania, but not this match, not the main event. I'm skipping the main event. That was another big con that made me think I'm maybe going to skip WrestleMania. No, either way, I'm skipping the main event. And that stands. Even though I've decided to actually watch WrestleMania, I'm skipping the main event. That being said, I do actually have a prediction for this match. Even though I don't really care about this match, I'm not going to watch it. I do have a prediction. You will notice that I mentioned that there were 3 big matches, and all of them have a big momentum behind the babyface to win the big one. So that being Seth Rollins, Kofi Kingston, and Becky Lynch. And you will notice I also mentioned that this match is going, that I mentioned that those 3 matches was at least one of them was not going to end with a big babyface victory. I already mentioned I actually don't think Seth Rollins is going to lose. I think he's actually going to win the title. I mentioned that I do think Kofi Kingston will get his big moment. That leaves one. You're gonna hate me for this. You're really gonna hate me for this. But I actually think WWE are actually gonna go for it. They're actually going to do what I feel a lot of people fear. Charlotte is going to win that match. Charlotte is gonna be the one to win that match and retain the SmackDown Women's Championship and win the Raw Women's Championship. It's going to be an upset victory for sure, in that most people are going to be really upset about this happening because everyone thinks this has to be Becky's moment, but it's not going to. It's going to be Charlotte. I have a sinking feeling that that's exactly what WWE is going to do. Now, to be fair, do I want this to happen? Not really, but then again, I don't care about this match. But if I did care, I probably would say, yeah, it should be Becky's moment, but I have this sinking feeling that Seth is going to win, Kofi's going to win, but not Becky. I actually think Becky's going to lose. And Ronda Rousey, from what I hear, she's probably going to just leave and focus on starting a family. That leaves one option. The woman that has garnered the most hatred in the company ever since she was added to that triple threat, ever since she won the SmackDown Women's Championship. She's just been garnering a lot of hatred. And I feel like Vince McMahon is the kind of guy who would want to go completely nuclear heat on Charlotte by having her win that main event. I have this sinking feeling that's exactly what Vince McMahon would do. Is it what I want? Not really, but then again, I'm not going to watch it. Don't care. But, yeah. So there you go. Those are my predictions. If you don't have time to watch this probably 2-3 hour video, because that's probably what I've been sitting here doing, I will have some quick predictions in the description. Maybe I'll do a timestamp for all the matches I talk about. I haven't decided. Yeah, I'll figure that one out. But I will put the quick predictions down there. I will. If you want reason, watch this video. Watch my look at my comment on Cultaholic predictions video. But there you go. Those are my predictions for WrestleMania. I will probably do a thoughts video the day after, maybe after Raw, after SmackDown, something like that. I will do one, regardless of what happens. I will do one. And I will do a thoughts video, maybe on Mania, maybe on something that just happens on Mania. Something. I will do something. But, yep, that's all. It's time for me to finally end this video. And to end this video, Brett, could you please tell the audience once again why I am skipping the main event of WrestleMania this year?